on the scene. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Friday. Casey Gaines and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. Work week almost in the rearview mirror, folks. Kind of a holiday weekend of sorts. Jimmy's show's taking a 4-day weekend. We'll be back Monday, but then we'll take Tuesday off. Spirits high. We're riding national championship. We got a holiday coming up. It's a Friday afternoon. I'm feeling good. Hope you're feeling good. Hang with us for the next 2 hours. We'll have Shea Dixon on in 30 minutes. Shea D was at the Manning Passing Academy while we were all hooked on Omaha. I want to talk about Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier down there, and potentially a little recruiting news today we want to get Shea's thoughts on as well. Bob Iback is going to join us from Nyco Sports. They've got a really cool memorial baseball to honor the 2023 national champion LSU Tigers. So we'll chat with Bob at 1:45. NCAA rules changes, some D1 baseball Americans. There's plenty to get to over the next 2 hours. So let's dive into it. I think maybe the biggest point of discussion, certainly the biggest discussion that we had on Monday. I was sitting at the Ameristar Hotel in Omaha. I had no voice. I had to get 4 guests to try to get through the show. And one of the questions that I had to ask every guest, whether it was Nick Delatorre, who covers Florida, whether it's Joe Healy or Mark Etheridge, who covers for D1 baseball, or just someone who covers it for LSU, was about Paul Skenes and what LSU was going to do in Game 3. By now, you know the situation. He had thrown about 250 pitches in the College World Series. He was on 3-day rest. What was LSU going to do with Paul Skenes? And by now, y'all know that Jay Johnson is pretty tight to the vest with injuries, pitching discussions. You're not going to get a lot of information out of him, certainly not in season. But now that the season has come and gone, Jay did go on SiriusXM earlier today, and he outlined the entire discussion that went into the usage of Paul Skenes in Game 3. Give a listen.
What we did was Sunday after the game, I brought him into my room. We kind of talked through how he was feeling, and he was actually very positive about how he was feeling. And then it became, okay, let's do all of our testing stuff tomorrow in terms of his legs, his back, his hips, all of those types of things, because he has a very good delivery. And the way he would put his arm at risk is if his body wasn't right to move through his delivery. But we kind of came up with this number that he had maybe 30 pitches. And then he and I talked through it. I mean, the conventional thought was, okay, let's just start you because that's the routine that you've been in. And then he actually said something to me that he goes, okay, if that's what you want to do, but I want my pitches to matter, if that makes sense. I really want my pitches to matter. And then I was like, okay, I'll take that under advisement. But at the end of the day, I wanted to protect him. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought if we trotted him out there, took him out maybe, let's say, after the second inning in a 0-0 game, I thought that would give Florida a big emotional lift knowing he was out. And I didn't want to do that. And so with that being said, we said, hey, you got 30 pitches, 8th inning, basically a save situation would be the time that we would pitch him. And if it wasn't that, it would be at the top of the order, maybe in the 6th or the 7th inning with Curlin, Langford, and Caglione coming up. So that was kind of the framework. And then I really appreciate my offense, taking us out of that position because I'll be honest, I didn't really want to use him at all. He'd given us everything he could. He was the most outstanding player of the College World Series. And now he's going to get about $10 million here in a few weeks, fully intact, which is awesome.
So that's interesting. Some of that I was right along with him on Monday. Some of it I was totally wrong on Monday. And it's interesting to hear that and understand everything that went into that. because Jay is new here, and we kind of had a good feel for what Paul Mainieri was going to do, was going to say, how he was going to think more times than not. And with Jay, we're still kind of learning that. And that's very interesting. So now we know how that process could go in a regional or in the College World Series moving forward. It was a question of, how do you feel right now? And Paul Skenes said, I feel good. Okay, now we have all these tests that measure range of motion, your flexibility, your muscle strength, your responsiveness, all this kind of stuff we can measure. And if all that checks out, then we can decide, okay, strategically, how do we want to do this? And whether you're playing spades and you got the ace of spades, or whether you're playing Uno with the 4-year-old and you've got the draw 3 card. Like, LSU had the card. When do you want to play the card? And I thought, based on routine, that they would want to play the card to start the game. I thought they would want to get him in his routine, let him go through his bullpen, his stretching, everything on time. We know that Paul Skenes is very regimented, very schedule-oriented. Get him out there and get off to a good start. You got beat by 20 runs just about 26 hours ago. Let's get off to a good start and kind of push off the dock here in Game 3. That's what I thought. But that would be playing your trump card right out of the chute, and the other team can now kind of realize that that's gone. And there is a psychological advantage to having him ready to go, because Kevin O'Sullivan knows that on 3 days rest, if Paul Skenes throws 2 innings, you're probably not going to score in those 2 innings. You sure could. South Carolina did it in Columbia, and Arkansas found it. Like, you could, but you're probably not. And so at that point, you have to start managing the game to get runs or make sure LSU doesn't get too far ahead, because they got the big dog coming in. And Florida didn't really have that. You had Neely, who had thrown 50 pitches 2 days before. You had Fisher, who had thrown 2 days before. You think Slater's kind of a trump card? Probably not. But Jay had the trump card. And what I did, so I was dead wrong on starting him, even though Jay kind of thought that was a good idea to start with. But what I was right is that I did say on Monday's show, like, okay, there is a spot here, and it may not be the last 3 outs or the last 6 outs. It may be in a 1-run game in the 6th when you've got Curlin, you've got Langford, you've got Caglione, and you've got Rivera coming up. You don't want to mess with those 4 guys in a tight game. They can all leave the yard in a hurry. So that may have been when to use them. And I think that discussion and that the entirety of that philosophy looked beautifully. It's a tenuous spot, and it's an unenviable spot for Jay, because there's more to it than just throwing Paul Skenes or not. You're talking about winning and losing a national championship. You're talking about potential of an injury risk. You're talking about recruiting down the road. I'm 100% certain that at some point over the last 2 weeks, Jay Johnson has had a conversation with Chase Burns. And Chase Burns may not come to LSU. But Chase Burns, or someone of that ilk, is going to be in the transfer portal almost every year. And almost every year, LSU is going to have a conversation with Paul Skenes or Chase Burns or Hurston Waldrop, whoever it is that's going to the transfer portal that's got a first-round next year grade on them. And this situation is the first time in Jay Johnson's entire coaching career that he has been in that situation. So he could say whatever he wanted previous to this past weekend. But now you know. If the question arises of how do you handle your horse that's got millions of dollars riding on it, well, here's your answer. Here's what we did with Paul Skenes. One, we brought him in, and we gave him all these resources he had never had access to, which if they're coming from Florida, or they're coming from Mississippi State, or they're coming from Texas, maybe they've had them. But if they're coming from Air Force, or they're coming from Xavier like Justin Lohr, or they're coming from Kansas State, whatever, they don't. And here are the jumps that Paul Skenes made. Here were his fastball jumps. We've got every pitch he threw in the bullpen and in this pitch lab tracked. We've got every pitch he threw in a game tracked. We'll show you how we rested him, how we recovered him, how we handled him. And then we'll tell you that it got to crunch time at the end, and we had a plan to handle our asset, which is you, the recruit. It's all right here. None of this is hypothetical. None of this is in building a program. It's all right here. This is how we handled it. So while I think that the Bregman story is great for the next Dylan Cruz, and the Cruz story is great for the next guy about turning down a lot of money to come have an unbelievable experience and make even more at the end of it, this Skenes story sells in the portal. And we were sitting here speculating for 2 days. In fact, it was longer than that. I did a segment when LSU won their Super Regional and came back that Monday. I said, if Paul Skenes is going to pitch in the championship series, you have to win your first 3 games, or maybe he can help you in game 3 out of the bullpen. Like, we knew this situation was coming. We had no idea how Jay Johnson was going to handle it. Now we do. And it worked out perfectly. Now, Jay didn't have to, go to the brink. He didn't have to bring him in. So that part of the story is not told, that, he didn't leave him in for 45 pitches because it was a close game and Caglione was coming up. But the thought process was there. The implementation of that process was there. And the result was a guy who won a national championship, won a Dick Hauser award, and is going to be a top 3 pick in the draft. That's a powerful story. And now we know the result, which is cool because it was all speculation at one point. But you could tell when you were in that stadium in Omaha on Monday night that when Paul Skenes grabbed his backpack and headed to the bullpen and started doing his stretching, he wasn't doing rehab. He wasn't doing recovery work. He was coming in the game. And then LSU broke it open, and Pearson homered, and Joe Bear homered, and they said, come on, big fella, sit down. And he did. I thought that was very cool. That was Jay Johnson with Sirius XM Radio this morning. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Love the folks over at Cork's. If you haven't given Cork's a try, please do so. It's over there on Government Street, right between Foster and Jefferson. You can go through the drive-thru or go into their newly renovated dining area. It's quick service seafood, but it is tasty. It is crispy, clean fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp, those crispy shoestring fries. They've got their baked potato they cover with crawfish etouffee and some jumbo fried Gulf shrimp. It is really, really high-quality stuff in a quick service environment. They'll get you through the drive-thru very, very quickly. They've got somebody out there that'll take your order, take your card. You'll roll right through. If you're looking for some catering, got family coming in for a holiday weekend, want to feed a lot of people, especially great for the kiddos who love this kind of stuff, but I do too. Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp is your spot. It's corksfishandshrimp.com is the website. Shay Dixon will be with us in 15 minutes. When we come back, got some good news today on LSU baseball, plus a little bit of a look at what next year's baseball team could look like, even though we are real early in that process. That's next.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory, all with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded. because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks. And incredible deals.
Live at lunch, taking a few days off for the 4th of July. We'll be back on July 5th, Wednesday, from Mike Anderson Seafood, just off of Nicholson. It's Live at Lunch, live from Mike Anderson's, Wednesday, July 5th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I'm not going to lie to y'all. I got a little shot of life this afternoon that I hadn't had, some of the week. They announced the schedule earlier this afternoon for the Astros Foundation College Classic. Shriners has moved their affiliation to the Arlington College Baseball Tournament every February, March. And so the Astros, the one in Minute Maid, is now the Astros Foundation College Classic. And the schedule came out today. I don't remember it coming out so quickly after the season is over. I thought it was a little bit later on. But we got the schedule, and LSU is included. Of course, LSU plays there every other year and have since, I believe, 2015, if I'm not mistaken. But the schedule's out, and less about who LSU plays. That is important, but it's secondary to me, the LSU fan, Baton Rouge resident. The most important thing to me with the games in Houston is the timing of the games. Pulmonary basically told, because he didn't like to leave the box. He liked to play at home. He liked the environment of the box and the revenue that comes with it. So for him to leave the box in the non-conference, he needed some assurances. And one of the assurances he got was, okay, you can play at 7 o'clock on Friday. You can play in the afternoon or at night on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we'll put you in the morning game. And what that allows Lafayette and Baton Rouge and New Orleans to do, and really Shreveport too, is to come in at potentially after work on Friday or take a half day on Friday to enjoy their Saturday and then have an early game Sunday and be able to get home. And last season, in 2022, Jay's first year, LSU got the 3 o'clock game on Friday, which I listened to on the road to Houston. Then we played the night game on Saturday. That was against Texas. And then we played the night game on Sunday against Baylor, which doesn't allow anyone to get home. So even though I went to Houston, I came back on Sunday because I can't leave Houston at 11 o'clock at night and get home at a reasonable hour. And that stunk. Well, things have switched around now for this coming baseball season in 2024. LSU will play Friday night at 7:05 against the Texas Longhorns. That's got a potential to be a fantastic environment. We're a ways away from knowing who LSU's ace is going to be. Thatcher Hurd's got as good a chance as anybody, but it could theoretically be Lucas Gordon, the Big 12 pitcher of the year, who is a junior, but is not necessarily thought of as like a first-round pick. He's more of a finesse left-hander. So it could be Thatcher Hurd against Lucas Gordon. Either way, it's LSU and Texas Friday night. Then LSU plays Louisiana Lafayette on Saturday night at 7:05. And then LSU will play Texas State on Sunday at 3:05. And you might roll your eyes after I say Texas, and that's really exciting. And then you go, oh, well, I don't want to play Louisiana Lafayette and Texas State. And I get you. That's not the sexiest thing I've ever seen. However, I will tell you that what's important to me about that weekend, one is the game time. Two, can you get a quad one here or there? It's tough to get a quad one team to come to the box. You could get a quad one in one of those two spots. This year, to end the season, Louisiana Lafayette's RPI was 48. That's quad one. And Texas State's was 60. Now, the transfer portal and graduation and trying to forecast what those teams will look like next year is a fool's errand. But they've got pretty solid programs in the Sun Belt. They're not as good as Southern Miss some years. They're not as good as Coastal some years. But they've got solid teams and I think could be potentially quad one games and would certainly, you would think, be in quad two. So I think it's awesome for LSU fans. I'll certainly be there. I've got a good buddy who lives there. We go over, we watch LSU baseball, we play a round of golf or two. It's a fantastic weekend. I look forward to it every 2 years. And last year it kind of got demolished because of the game times. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday afternoon, that'll work. I can handle all of that. So very much looking forward to the College Classic next year. I want to briefly talk about looking forward to next baseball season. I'm not going to give you LSU starting 9. I'm not going to give you positionally how things line up or a weekend rotation. We are so far from that. But I'll give you kind of the bones of what this team is today. And it hurts that I'm going to go out there in the fall and Dylan Cruz won't be there and Trey Morgan won't be there. Paul Skenes won't be there. Gavin Dugas won't be there. Cade Beloso won't be there. Jordan Thompson won't be there. That's been a foundation of this team for 3 years. Since Maneri was the coach. Those guys have been pivotal. I mean, those are the guys that were playing in that regional in Corvallis and in Eugene and that super in Knoxville. But they're moving on. So what do you have back? Well, you've kind of got the perimeter of the field covered. You've got Pearson, who figures to be an outfielder or have a real chance to do it. You got Kling, who would appear to be the heir apparent in center field. I thought he would have a huge impact on this team. He looked like he was moving in that direction. He got hurt in the Tulane game and never really got back into the mix, but the tools are unbelievable. You got Ethan Fry, who is kind of the odd man out in the catching situation, but has worked at first base, has worked in the outfield. He's got a long way to go in terms of his defense, but he's not built too dissimilar from Jared Jones. Jones is a little bit bigger, but Fry's a big dude with a big bat. And if they can get him in there at DH or right field, he's got a chance to be a really good player. He's got a big summer ahead of him for sure. You got Tommy White coming back as a pillar on your team at third base. You got Jared Jones likely going to be your first baseman, and Brady Neal should return as your catcher. So you've got 3 outfielders I just mentioned in Pearson, Kling, and Fry. You got White and Jones at the corner infield spots, and you got Neal at catcher. None of those are locked in except Tommy White. He's going to play. But that looks pretty good on paper. Jones is going to the Cape to hit. So is Pearson. So is Kling. So is Neal. Big summers facing really good pitching for those guys. Excited to see how they fare up in Cape Cod. Fry will go to the Northwoods League. And I think Tommy White may take the summer off. If you ever noticed going to the Supers, if you were in Omaha, I noticed this as well. Tommy White wasn't taking infield before games. I don't know if that's superstition. I don't know if that's personal choice. I don't know if it's, hey, did you notice in the first game of the season, I crushed my shoulder into first base and we're just trying to take it easy until I can take a summer off. I don't know why he wasn't taking infield, but he wasn't. He may take the summer off of playing baseball. The questions right now that are the biggest about this team in terms of position players are at shortstop and second base. Because you lose Dugas and Thompson, they're going to be gone. Dugas is out of eligibility. Jordan Thompson is going to be a draft-eligible player. So right now, on the team, you've got Ben DePolt, who is kind of a utility guy. I think he's probably a better hitter than he showed this year, and I think if he would have gotten more at-bats, he could have been a contributor. He wouldn't have been near what Gavin Dugas was at his best, not near, I don't think, what Jordan Thompson was really on both ends, but a utility player that's a functional guy. I compared Ben DePolt to Chris Shambra of his era in the outfield. Is he going to hit third for you ever? No. Is he going to hit second? No. Is he going to be your star in center field or shortstop? No. Can he hit seventh and help you out? Yeah. Can he be a defensive player late in the game? Yeah. But that's what's on the team. Gavin Guidry's on the team. I'm going to check on this when things calm down a little bit, and we'll see. But I would imagine Gavin Guidry's going to go hit this summer. He may pitch some, but I think he's going to go hit this summer because he did not hit near the level of LSU's starting shortstop or second baseman in the fall. Not even close. And that's okay. Mikey Matuk had a famously terrible freshman fall. Like, it happens. You're stepping up in class. It's a new environment. You're learning. Okay. But I think he's going to go hit this summer. I think he's probably in the mix to be LSU's starting shortstop. I don't know that I would say he's the leader. The leader might be Michael Braswell, the transfer from South Carolina. Now, Braswell started 54 games as a freshman and hit 284. Now, he didn't have any power. He hit 2 homers and 9 doubles. It was all singles, and he hit 2, but he's a freshman. And you're thinking a kid that's that highly rated out of high school who signs with South Carolina and hits 284 as a freshman's got a really high outside and could be a great player for South Carolina. And then he came back his sophomore year and hit 255 with 1 home run and a above average glove. I wouldn't say he's an elite defender. I'd say he's an elite athlete with an above average glove. I don't want my shortstop hitting 255 with 1 home run. Something's got to change there. Either the player or you get a new one. So Braswell's in the mix there. Tanner Reeves is in this signing class. I think he's a second baseman. That's what he's played in JUCO. I haven't seen enough of him defensively to know, and I'll do some digging on that. But he hit like crazy at Blinn College. That's where Cam Newton famously played his JUCO year. He's a 6-foot, 170-pound left-handed hitter who plays second base. In JUCO, he hit .422 with 20 homers. He batted in 86 runs in 60 games. That's really hitting. Now, for some reason, Blinn College's box scores rarely have their position players listed in their position. I found a couple of them, and he played second. So my assumption is he played second base all year. I can't swear to that because Blinn College always has the other team's positions on the box score and never has theirs. I don't get it, whatever. But those are your options right now as far as guys that you expect in the program. We'll see about Stephen Milam, who's in the signing class, and I don't want to get into the signing class right now. We'll do that next week before the draft and certainly the following week after the draft is done. But Stephen Milam, who to me looks like a second baseman, he's small, he's a switch hitter, he's a potential high-round pick, is an option there. I'm, frankly, a little bit underwhelmed at LSU's middle infield situation for next year. I've got Braswell, who's a light-hitting transfer. I've got Guidry, who was a pitcher who didn't hit at all in the fall last year. I've got Reeves, who's a JUCO player, I think's limited at second base, but maybe is a force offensively. We'll see. I've got Napolt, who's kind of a utility guy, and then we'll see if Milam gets to campus. I don't have Jordan Thompson. I don't have that guy right here. I don't have Josh Rivera from Florida here. I don't have Jacob Gonzalez from Ole Miss here. I don't have Maui Ahuna from Tennessee here. That's the guy you're looking for, and right now LSU doesn't have it. So while the numbers are pretty good, Braswell, Guidry, Reeves, Milam, and Napolt potentially with a couple more guys in this signing class who play middle infield in high school, it's not like you don't have them. I just don't see a dude, and that's a little bit concerning. So, I want to get to Shea here because we want to talk Manning Passing Academy. We want to talk about LSU potentially getting commitment here in the short term. But right now, I love Neal at catcher. I love Jones at first base offensively. I think White's an All-American. Pearson's going to have a better year next year than he did this year. Paxton Kling could be a star in center field. I think Ethan Fry's got a real chance to be a great player. And the transfer portal is far from closed, and so they'll add more competition to this roster, I have no doubt. I'm a little concerned with shortstop at the moment. So we'll see where things move in that direction. I've got some questions, but I also know that there's a lot of time to get some answers through the transfer portal. That's a huge piece to this thing, and I've got all the confidence you could possibly have in Jay Johnson to make it work. So that's kind of where you are from a position player perspective. We'll do pitching, I guess, down the road, maybe next week sometime. But we are going to get to Shea Dixon of On 3, talking some Manning Passing Academy and recruiting coming up next.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. Is your closet too crowded? Probably is. You probably don't have room for your shoes. You got winter coats put in there that you never use, and they're taking up space. You just need to customize it. And David Duvall and his team have done that for years. Every situation is different. Let David Duvall and his team come in, start the process with a free consultation that involves a questionnaire. Just tell them what you got and what you're looking for, and David Duvall can customize closets. One, they'll give you all the functionality you could need with the cubbies and drawers and mirrors, with your pull-down coat racks, all kinds of stuff, and it'll look beautiful, which your current situation may not. David Duvall and his team promise you, if you tell them that the Hunt Palmer Show sent you to One Bath and Closets, that you're not going to pay for them to rip out your current closet. You're not going to pay for the labor to install the new one. You're just going to pay for the cost of that unit. Check out the website, onebathandclosets.com. You'll see the testimonials. You'll see the pictures of their great work, and I can promise you they'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's David Duvall at One Bath and Closets.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I drove myself to the ER, had heart surgery, and drove myself home 24 hours later, feeling fine. Starting running again after the procedure, I'm getting excited thinking about it. I had no pain, nothing. I felt great. And right then and there, I was like, oh my God, I'm back. I'm back.
Ochsner Health. Long live you.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Call in Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down to
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Right Radio Hours return, reacting to the national championship, Ask Ryan, Kick Rocks, all the good stuff. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Some of y'all probably know that Thibodaux is not very close to Nebraska because I think some of you drove from Thibodaux to Nebraska last week because we were all locked in on the College World Series. But down in Thibodaux during the College World Series, the Manning Casting Academy was going on. Goes on every summer. It's become one of the biggest events of the football summer. Shea Dixon was down there covering things for the Bengal Tiger, part of the On3 Network. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Shea, how hot was Homa, Thibodaux?
Not as hot as Baton Rouge has been this past week.
Okay. It was hot in Omaha except for Saturday.
I would say somewhere in between Omaha and Baton Rouge.
Okay, good. Well, I know a lot was going on down there, but from our perspective, Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier were both down there. I know that you're not with them all the time, but what do you sense is the relationship between those two guys?
I mean, I think they get along. I think they get along probably as well as two guys who are battling for one job can get along, right? I think they've a nice mutual respect for each other. I think that they both push each other pretty hard. I mean, look, Joe Sloan got here, and who was here? Miles Brennan was still around. Walker Howard was on the team. Now you've got Ricky Collins coming in. The one constant has been those two, Jaden and Garrett. So I think that over time they've certainly built a nice, strong foundation to their relationship. And they hung out down at Manning Academy for a while, warmed up together, kind of spent a lot of the time together that night when they did all the throwing sessions, which is really just at one point Drake May won an event by throwing a football for 50 yards through the hoop of a net. So I guess the athleticism and the May UNC bloodlines translates from basketball to football. Then they did the deep throwing contest of really just airing out who's got the best looking deep ball. And then they would run drive golf carts sort of all over the field, and you hit kind of these short, intermediate, and then deep routes. And if you hit the golf cart, you get the points, and you moved on. So it was a fun event, but it also, you got to see, 20, 25 of the better quarterbacks that are set to play college football this year.
Jaden Daniels, a lot's going to be made of him over the next couple of months and just how far he can push LSU in his last year. And we'll talk about him until they kick it off against Florida State. But how much improvement is realistic in terms of what Jaden Daniels can become as far as a throwing quarterback?
I mean, I think anything you sort of put out there could be realistic. Think about how far he came from where he was at Arizona State to where he is now. I mean, just that sample size alone, 3 years of starting at ASU. Now you look at the 1 year at LSU, he had upped pretty much everything. I mean, completion percentage, passing yards is right there, rushing yards is even more, turn the ball over very, very seldomly. Yes, surrounded by more talent, but you got to remember he was part of that Arizona State team and program for 3 years. He comes here a year ago. He doesn't know the offense. He doesn't know the coordinator. He doesn't know his quarterback's coach. He's never played for the head coach. He doesn't know any of the receivers. He's never played behind the O-line. So for him to do what he did and still make those leaps last year tells me that he can make them again this year. And when I talked to him down there in Homa at the Manning camp or in Thibodaux, I should say more specifically, when we were over at Nichols, he talked about that and said, look, I said, a lot of people are saying, and I think it's a pretty safe argument to make, that you're the best returning starter in the SEC this year. And when you hear that, what do you think? And Jaden said, hey, that means I'm back on track to where I should have been. Because you think about it, he was the number one dual threat quarterback in the country coming out of high school, had offers from everywhere. LSU was recruiting him. Went to Arizona State because he wanted to play early, played 3 straight years, graduated, and then took a shot on coming to LSU for a year because he thought, hey, that could really up my draft stock. Now he comes back for another year, and he's heralded as maybe the best returning quarterback in the SEC. He is being talked up if LSU makes a run that he could be a Heisman contender. He is putting himself in a spot to be drafted. So I think in Jaden's mind, this is where he was. Things might have gotten off track at ASU, but after the year they had at LSU in year one, you've got to feel good that he's going to continue to make strides in year two.
What are his plans this summer? Do you know? Some guys go out to California and work with George Whitfield or something. Sometimes just stay at LSU. I mean, what do you think? What do you know? What Jaden Daniels' plans are this summer before they report and get things rolling here in August?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he is hanging out. He's done California a good bit, but you've got workouts with the team, so they're doing strength and conditioning stuff, all that. I would imagine a large amount of his time then is just spent in Baton Rouge, and then we're not far off from fall camp. I mean, it's a month away.
Yeah.
So my guess is this final stretch is a lot of time spent around the team and throwing with the receivers on his own and all that stuff.
Do you think Garrett Nussmeier believes he can be the starting quarterback against Florida State?
Oh, you're talking about a confident gunslinger. I wouldn't be surprised if he believed he was the starting quarterback versus Florida State in the opener. I think that Garrett saw at the end of last year that whether it was injury, whether it was just beating a team and getting to play a lot in the Purdue game because they trusted him, an injury being that Georgia game, had they seen what they knew now, would Jaden have played that whole Arkansas game where he was banged up and could barely walk around and they were like squeaking by at Fayetteville? Or are you like, oh, we trust him, we'll put him in there? So I think he already thinks he's going to play more. Then he also knows, hey, I can stay here, which he wants to be at LSU. That's bottom line, and wants to compete to start. But even if it isn't starting this year, and even if it's playing as a backup, he'd still have 2 more years of eligibility remaining. Now, does he take it all? I don't know. But that's a lot of time to stay and potentially be a starter at LSU in the SEC. And when you think about that, had he not decided, and let's more so say maybe had his dad and Coach O and the staff not decided it was in his best interest not to play in that Texas Bowl when they were a 500 team and John Trey Kirkland played, he wouldn't be a redshirt freshman right now. He would only have a couple of years left. So maybe when we look back down the line, if he continues to say, I want to be here, I want to play, I want to up my stock, we'll look back at that Texas Bowl and say, glad to have John Trey there. Didn't need nothing. Don't, because quarterback in year 5 or 6 for 13 games.
Yeah, I don't really care that you lost by 1 million to Kansas State in that game. Doesn't really matter at this point. The LSU's quarterback situation is very, very good right now. Recruiting rolling on here as the summer progresses. I know you all put in some recruiting prediction machine thoughts on North Carolina 4-star offensive tackle Ethan Callaway. What do you think you can tell us?
Yeah, Ethan doesn't talk a whole lot, so we've had to do a lot of reading of the tea leaves, but this is a kid coming out of North Carolina who he had visited LSU for the Bama game, so he's got to see a great game in Tiger Stadium. They obviously won it overtime, was back in the spring for a visit, and now gave him their final official visit in June, which is always a good thing, and he planned already to announce at the end of June. So LSU set themselves up well there. They were also his very first college offer. Now, since then, he's got 20, 30 college offers, but it means something when you're that first offer, and LSU was that for him. And we've got him ranked on 3 as a top 10 offensive tackle in the country. In fact, if he commits today, he's going to make his announcement here soon. He would be, of the 18 commitments, the highest ranked commitment LSU would have. So this is a massive, or will be a massive win if they can pull it off on the East Coast for an out-of-state guy where you've already got Louisiana's top-ranked offensive lineman committed in Kyrie Lee, and he's an interior guy. So you had to go outside the state to find offensive tackles, and they've done it. They're in on a number of guys, but Callaway certainly has center stage today because he is widely considered to be one of the best in the class.
Shay, we certainly appreciate it. Have a great weekend.
All right, Hunt. You as well. Be safe.
He is Shay Dixon on 3 Sports, part of the Bengal Tiger Network, and as he said, they put Ethan Callaway as an LSU projection here. And look, we spent a lot of time going through the offensive line commits that Brian Kelly has secured in his coaching career at Notre Dame and early at LSU. And Ethan Callaway fits it to a T. He is 6'7". He is 300 pounds. He is lean. He can move. That's the type of prospect that Brian Kelly covets. He does not necessarily want a bunch of 6'3", 355-pound offensive linemen. If there's a great one, maybe you take it because you see it. But the profile he recruits to is long, lean, and you fill them out over time, and they become great players. He's got 2 of those on the bookends at tackle right now that he basically inherited, and now he's continuing to recruit that type of player, and Ethan Callaway certainly fits that mold. He's a 4-star recruit, offensive tackle from Lake Norman High School in Mooresville, North Carolina. We'll see what he decides to do here very, very shortly. All right, we'll take a timeout. We will come back and a special guest, Bob Ibach from Nyco Sports, will be with us next.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Turn my music high, 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 yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. The cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like it's Wall Street.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Bayou Ford has up to $7,000 off MSRP plus 0% financing on new 23 Ford F-150 XLT trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know.
Live at lunch, taking a few days off for the 4th of July. We'll be back on July 5th, Wednesday, from Mike Anderson Seafood, just off of Nicholson. It's Live at Lunch, live from Mike Anderson's, Wednesday, July 5th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Now, obviously, I was up in Omaha on Monday. The Tigers win the national championship. They dogpile. We watched the celebration. Then we went to the team hotel to grab a drink, and a buddy of mine met us there. I think the game had been over for about 45 minutes, and he had a whole bag full of national championship merchandise from up there at the gift shop. Well, if you didn't do that and you're looking for a way to commemorate LSU's national championship, we've got a way for you to do that. That's why we go to the Jim's Firearms Hotline and welcome in Bob Ibach from Nyco Sports. Bob, thanks for your time. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I hope you're getting ready for the holiday weekend. I guess you're still celebrating from Monday night's big win. I'll tell you, I've watched baseball for many years. I was with the Chicago Cubs for 10 seasons and have been in baseball much of my career, and watched a lot of these College World Series over the years. I've never seen such a quick turnaround from losing 24-4 to winning 18-4 in one day later against Florida. But it's an amazing ball club, and I know a lot of the Tiger fans are still celebrating. And if you want to get something that's very limited and something that'll be historic and it'd be a nice keepsake and you could put up in your home or office for years to come and have people come in and say, wow, where did you get that Tigers baseball? I have something I think that you're going to want to consider, and it's very limited. We only have 2,023 of these officially licensed College World Series baseballs to celebrate LSU winning their let's see, it was their seventh title, and that's the most. The other team that has I think it's 12 titles is Southern Cal. So these baseballs, only 2,023 will ever be made. They're priced at $49.95. It comes with an individually numbered certificate of authenticity. And before I give out that phone number and website, I do want to point out a couple cool things that are on the various panels of the ball. We've got the Tiger Eye logo on one of the panels, a Tiger Head logo on a different one. There's a section on there that recaps Alex Box Stadium facts and some history on LSU baseball. They're right across the sweet spot of the ball. It'll say 2023 National Champions with the LSU logo. Everyone who orders these will get an individually numbered certificate of authenticity. And so if we're down to probably the last 300 or 400 of the balls in the collection of 2023. And if you'd like to go ahead and order these, there's two ways we set it up. Have a toll-free number, 1-800-345-2868. That's 1-800-345-2868. Or if you can't get through the phone lines, because I know they've been busy all day long today, Hunt, you can go right to the website and order it there at NICOsports.com, and you spell that NIKCO sports.com. Again, that's NIKCO sports.com or 1-800-345-2868. Again, these are just $49.95, and they'll be sent to you in about 3 weeks. And if you go to the website, too, here's an idea. You can download a special gift card or certificate and have that instantly, and then let that loved one that you're going to give this one baseball to, let them know that it's coming in about 3 weeks, and they'll be able to enjoy it. I saw a prototype the other day, and somebody walked into my office and said, wow, where did you get that baseball? It's really, really cool because it comes in an acrylic display case with a gold base. So it really pops up when you put it on your shelf or maybe down in your man cave. It really displays well.
Bob, we certainly appreciate it. For those that are listening, I will give out the phone number and the website right before we end the hour here. But, Bob, we really appreciate you jumping on. This is a really cool thing, and I know that people down here in Baton Rouge are really fired about this national championship, and I think those phones will be buzzing. We appreciate it, and have a great weekend.
All right, Hunt, you do the same. Enjoy the upcoming holiday, and be safe down there.
Thank you so much. That is Bob Ibach. He is with Nyco Sports. Again, if you want to get this commemorative baseball, it looks fantastic on the pictures we've got here that Jacob Beck's put on the screen. You can get it if you got your phone out here. The number is 800-345-2868, or you can go to NICOsports.com. That is NIKCO sports.com. I'll say it at the beginning of that segment that my buddy went to the merchandise store. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like, we watched the celebration and walked out of the stadium. We tried to go to the old mattress factory, but it was closed. So we went to the team hotel. 20 minutes later, my buddy shows up. He's got a plastic bag full of stuff. He's already wearing this shirt that he had. He bought a flag for outside of his house, which apparently went up on Tuesday. The merch was flying, and I'm certainly going to be involved in that. I'm going to get one of these baseballs, and I'm going to run on down to campus here at some time in the next couple of weeks and grab some national championship gear, because that was a season we're going to want to remember forever. And I think there's a lot of us that will, between the talent on that team and the drama that we saw over a week in Omaha. That's a team that you're going to want to remember, and you certainly can from the folks over there at Nyco Sports. All right, that is 1 hour in the books here on Friday. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. You can see them at corksfishandshrimp.com. And hour number 2, we've got a lot to get to. The SEC Network set its schedule for the SEC Network takeovers. NCAA setting rules on the transfer portal. D1 Baseball is talking about All-American teams. That's all coming up after SportsCenter. Come back with us here on a Friday. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $25,000 off new 22 Ram 1500 SCA trucks and incredible deals on all remaining 2022 inventory. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like Hudco, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. And I think we're rocking and rolling.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. NBA free agency is just a few hours away. Players and teams can negotiate starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. ESPN's Brian Windhorst says Kyrie Irving doesn't have as many options as he thinks he does.
What Kyrie is trying to do is to create leverage because the Mavericks don't have to offer. And my guess is it's not about dollars per year. It's about number of years.
Brian Windhorst on Fitz and Harry. Our Adrian Wojnarowski reports the Nets are trading forward Joe Harris and 2 future second-round picks to the Pistons. Brooklyn opens up a $20 million roster spot for a traded player. The Blackhawks signed Corey Perry to a 1-year, $4 million deal 1 day after trading with the Lightning to get his rights. He played the last 2 seasons in Tampa. Dodgers owner Mark Walter, team president Stan Kasten, and minority owner Billie Jean King will launch and run a new women's professional hockey league starting in January.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you could save. Geico.com. Easy.
Now, Hunt Palmer. Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2 on a Friday. Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We're getting close to quitting time. Could be a holiday weekend for some of you. We'll be back in action on Monday. We're Off the Bench, Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review. Live at Lunch going to take Monday off. Everybody's going to be off on Tuesday, and then we'll be back with you on Wednesday with our full local schedule. But we still got an hour with you, so let's hang out. The SEC Network announced its schedule for the first 2 weeks in July, in which they do the takeovers for each school. We'll start with Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky. LSU on July 7th will have the SEC Network to itself. That is next Friday, a week from today. It'll be all LSU for 24 hours. And I got to thinking, they don't ever do this exactly by the classics. Like, they usually throw in a couple of games that ESPN had the rights to from that year. They mix it in with some different sports, and they'll throw in Hold the Rope or something for LSU, and that'll be kind of the day. Yeah, I'd love it if they'd play the Warren Morris game, and then the Earthquake game, and then Shaq versus Loyola Marymount, and like just do like the classics. And I think that would probably drive up viewership a little bit. Play, LSU and Alabama from 2011. But I don't know how all that works with who's got the rights to what and what they can air and what they're trying to accomplish and all that kind of stuff. And so I don't know what they're going to play a week from today for the SEC Network takeovers. But I know what I would like to see again from this year. And I threw in a couple that maybe I wouldn't be glued to, but I think would make a lot of sense from this past school year, because LSU had a wonderful year. I mean, an absolutely wonderful year. Of course, women's basketball and baseball carried the show, but football had a great year. And gymnastics had a great year. And there were some other aspects of the athletic program that had really solid showings. I mean, women's soccer got off to an unbelievable start. So I was thinking about if they were just going to do this year, which I don't know what they're going to do, but if they were just going to do this year, this school year, what games would the masses in Baton Rouge and the Tiger fan base want to see? And it starts with the women's basketball team in the national championship. That performance was absolutely sensational. I don't know of anybody that watched that wouldn't want to go back and see that first half. Seriously. I've been very upfront with you. I did not watch much of the regular season of women's basketball. I had the South Carolina Super Bowl day game on while I was making a dip, kind of in the background. I didn't lock into the NCAA tournament. I was driving home from Taylor Sharp's wedding when they beat Miami to go to, I guess that was to go to the Final Four. I think it was. No, I can't even remember what. I was driving for one of the games. But I watched the national championship game. And that performance to score 55 points in the first half, to knock down 9 of 12 threes, to force Caitlin Clark into 4 turnovers, that was just incredible to watch. So I would play that one for sure. You got to play the women's basketball national championship game. You, of course, have to play the baseball national championship game where they win the Natty. But there were other baseball games along the way that I would love to rewatch. The Louder Skenes game comes to mind first, of course. The final game 1 with the incredible performance that she got from Ty Floyd and the unbelievable home run from Beloso and slamming the door with Cooper. Like, that game was incredible. And I'd honestly like to go back, even though it didn't look very good for a while, and watch the Ole Miss game 3 where Travinsky hit the home run with 2 outs. When we were in Omaha, they would play before every team played. They would have their coach up on the Jumbotron. It was the same segment every single time. It never changed. But Jay Johnson was tasked with kind of talking about the best moments of the season for LSU. And he mentioned the first one he mentioned was Hayden Travinsky's 2-out, 3-run homer to give us a sweep over Ole Miss. And he talked about winning a Super at the box and the incredible performance to come back and beat Wake Forest. Those are the 3 that he mentioned. I would love to see Travinsky, the home run from the baseball perspective. So I think there are some other baseball games that I'd like to watch. I mean, the Texas game was fantastic, and I know that ESPN has the rights to that. So I would watch that again as a midweek game we hadn't seen in a long time. But the national championship game, Louder Skenes, College World Series Final 1, and Travinsky's homer, those 4 would stand out from a baseball perspective. From football, you've got to immediately go to the Alabama win, and I'm certain they will play that. That's one they've got to play. That was a classic from start to finish. Bama goes right down the field. You get the Jarek Bernard-Converse interception in the end zone. LSU takes a lead, the Emery swing pass and score. And then, of course, going to overtime, going for 2 and getting the win. Like that game has got to be played. There's no question about it. And the other one that I kind of forgot about, I wanted to go back just in my brain about what felt great about the football season. And like the classic game we lost was Florida State. I mean, that game was absolutely bananas, but nobody wants to watch that because we lost the game. I didn't forget, but I wasn't thinking about the fact that we were down 17-0 to Auburn. And then you got the strip sack that they ran in, and you found a way to come back and win the game because the defense buckled down and you won it. I'd go back and watch that. It'd be a tough first 25, 30 minutes of viewing, falling behind like that. But I would go back and watch them come down from it 17-0 for sure. So those are the 2 from football. You know, the Arkansas game was close, but that would break your television if you had to watch it again. It was so ugly. As far as men's basketball goes, we know it wasn't a great year for men's basketball, but they did have one unbelievable game. You probably don't even remember because we played more important games against Wake Forest in a different sport. But the Wake basketball game was incredible. LSU was down 20 in the first half of that game. And they came back and won it on a Trey Hannibal layup late. You've got to throw in one for all the sports. That's basically your one for LSU, I would think. I mean, heck of an effort to beat Arkansas. It was a good team, and you played Kentucky close, but you lost. But for basketball, being down 20 to Wake and coming back and winning is pretty impressive. And then the one that, I wouldn't necessarily be locked in on, but I certainly understand the merits of the performance, and I believe they will probably show this as well because they know what kind of a gymnastics following LSU has. Haley Bryant had 3 perfect 10s in one meet this year. It was at West Virginia. It was the first time an LSU gymnast had ever had 3 10s in a meet. It's only been done 4 times previous to Haley Bryant ever, that a gymnast in a single meet had 3 perfect 10s. And she did that this year, and that certainly should be recognized. So I don't know what they're going to play for the SEC Network Takeover a week from today. I've got a feeling you're going to see the 2 national championship games from women's basketball and baseball, and I think you'll probably see the Bama football win, and I would think they may throw in Haley Bryant, but that would kind of be what I would like to see from the school year that just passed. It was a phenomenal one for LSU pretty much across the board. Those are the moments I think that stand out. For me, obviously, the baseball one means the most personally, but there are plenty of people out there that absolutely love the women's basketball program and want to watch that again. There are plenty of people out there that love this gymnastics program and would watch it again, and I don't know anybody that doesn't want to watch us beat Bama in football. So that one probably fits in quite nicely. So SEC takeovers start coming up on tomorrow with Alabama. I don't think many of you on a Saturday are going to lock into the Bama takeover, unless they play the LSU-Bama football game from this past year. It'll be Arkansas, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU. Then the following week it'll be Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Missouri, South Carolina, Tennessee, A&M, Vanderbilt. And at that point, it'll be time for SEC football media days from Nashville. And that's the unofficial kickoff of football season, and we're kind of there. I'll be candid with you as far as programming goes for this show. We got the next 2 weeks that we'll talk in MLB draft, which will be big for LSU from a profile perspective with Skenes and Cruz, and then it'll be huge for the recruiting class as well. And then we'll get into another week where we'll talk transfer portal with baseball, be kind of churning a little bit, and recruiting should be in full swing as well. And then we'll have media days, and then I'm going to take a week off at the end of July, and then we're reporting for camp. Bless that baseball team. You want to talk about a content machine? We'll take it. So that's your SEC network takeover for the next 2 weeks. The NCAA has recommended a couple of tweaks to the transfer portal. I will let you know what that looks like. They've also got some thoughts on gambling and what punishments will be. And this is going to keep popping up here for a little bit until players can figure this out. We'll talk about it in all next.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired. Are you with me?
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Right Radio Hours return, reacting to the national championship. Ask Ryan, Kick Rocks, all the good stuff. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I always tell you about Cork's awesome food on Fridays, the jumbo Gulf shrimp, delicious fried catfish. But Cork is also part of our community. Paul and Michael Medenko, who brought you Kuyon's Barbecue over across the river in Port Allen, have been part of this community for almost 2 decades. And they mean it when they say they're part of the community. In June, they donated over $7,000 worth of meal vouchers to local school teachers and staff. That's stepping up to the plate. And they're a big part of the fabric of this community. I'm very proud of that. And they're a local restaurant. It's not one of these national fried seafood chains that pops up and tries to make a home. No, Cork's is born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana, and they're very proud of that. And I'm proud to tell you about them on Fridays. Love the fact that we can tell you about Cork's as they sponsor our Friday shows all year long. The NCAA Council recommended a couple of things in their last meeting up in Indianapolis, and one of them was shortening the football transfer portal. Right now, it's 45 days. There's a 30-day window and then a 15-day window, and they're proposing to reduce the front window to 15 days as well. So it would shorten the entirety of it as a year from 45 down to 30. I don't think this is a big deal. I don't think it's going to massively change the amount of transfers by knocking 2 weeks off of it, but I am for it. Let's just get in or get out. I'm okay with players having this ability. This is the new world, and it makes things really tough to build a program and to maintain a roster. I get that. But, what do I always tell you? I'm not going to be any different. How does it impact LSU? And LSU's going to benefit from this way more than they're going to get hurt by it. They won the West in football last year with a quarterback who jumped right on over. They won the national championship in baseball this year with an ace and a third baseman who came right on over. So I'm not going to throw a fit about the transfer portal. I think it's a lot, and I do feel for some of the schools at the lower levels, but the fact of the matter is that the rich are going to get richer, and that's just the way that this thing goes. And I do support the notion hey, let's quit dilly-dallying. We're going to open this thing up in December, right after conference championships are over and school is out, and we're going to open this thing up for 2 weeks, get in or get out, and then after spring ball, it would be April 15th to the 30th would be the transfer portal window, get in or get out. And let's just get it done. Because while I do think it's fine that you say, oh, these coaches make all this money, they should just be able to handle it. And to a certain extent, that's true. Yes, I'm with you. But let's just keep some rules and regulations here. Let's set some guardrails. And I'm not saying we got to open it for 2 days and shut it. Like, let's give some people some time to get in and coaches to evaluate things, and let's look around. But we need to tighten this thing up. So, again, you're not making a massive change in going from 30 days and 15 days to 15 days and 15 days. But I'm for making this thing a little cleaner. And I think that would do it. So hopefully that's the case. They talked a lot about the impediments from going up from the FCS to the FBS. I'm not too concerned with that here in Baton Rouge. But gambling is a big deal because you're seeing this running rampant in the NFL, and it could affect you on a college level. And I'm 100% certain that LSU student athletes that live in a state where gambling, sports wagering is legal, have been given all this information. But it's important that they follow it because people are getting tripped up continuously. And so this report I'm reading says, in the wake of multiple gambling investigations, including those at Iowa and Iowa State, the NCAA Legislative Committee passed a clear set of rules to punish gambling offenders. Anything that's reported after May the 2nd that we just went through is going to be enforced by these guidelines. Players that gamble on their own games or games at their own school are done in college. Let me tell you that again. Players who gamble on their own games or games at their own school will permanently lose eligibility. Can't be done. And I am 100% for that. If we lose the integrity of competition because of players gambling on their own school, we've lost the sport. You cannot have that. That is significantly worse than boosters paying $1 million for a quarterback. Significantly. You cannot have players gambling. And that goes without saying, but that's bullet point number one. And players have got to know that. We find out you're betting on LSU, see ya. If a player gambles on their own sport at another school, the player could get about half a season. Plus, you've got to take classes on sports wagering. I don't care about that. You're out a season. If you're a college football player at LSU and you're betting on the Iron Bowl, half a season. Fine by me. It's fine by me. If you gamble on any other sport, it's a sliding scale based on how much you bet. So if you bet less than $200, you got to go take a course. If you are an LSU football player, and you bet on the, basketball game between Florida and Tennessee, under $200, we're going to get you to take classes. We don't want that. If you bet between $200 and $500, you can be suspended for 10 games. And that's very important for an LSU student athlete to know. You cannot bet on other sports or you will be suspended. Football, that's about a game, maybe two. About a game. You're talking about baseball, you're looking at 5 games. And if you bet $500 to $800, you can get 20%. If you bet more than $800, you're looking at 30% of a season. So that's significant in football. That's 3 games. So previously, any college athlete found to have bet on sports at any level could face a 1-year suspension. However, they know that there's a rise here, and it's legal, and there are schools that are in bed with gambling companies, and this is a part of our society now, sports gambling. It's here. It's one of those things like the transfer portal, like NIL, sports gambling, it's not coming backwards. It's moving forward. It is going to be part of what the society of sports looks like. So it is imperative that these student athletes understand what they're doing when they're doing it. If I'm an LSU coach, this is pretty simple for me. You don't download the app ever. Ever. That's going to be the rule. I think it's a little ridiculous when coaches are saying you can't have social media, and maybe those days are over because of NIL possibilities. You can't really tell. If you're a high-profile coach, you can't tell your players you can't have Instagram. And then they could look and go, well, wait a second. Livy Dunn and Angel Reese and Dylan Cruz made this much money because of their Instagram followers. That's not fair. Or you're just not going to get them. So those days are probably over. But I don't have a problem saying you can't gamble. It's just too slippery. It's just too easy. I mean, it's just too easy to have a few drinks, kind of out of your mind. You hear a buddy say, oh, my God, and you place a bet, and then all of a sudden we're missing 3 games as a football player. Like, you don't need to do it. It's gambling. It's not something that's going to, for sure, net you money like an endorsement or an NIL deal would. If I'm a coach, we're not gambling at this school. I don't think that's going to cost you any recruits. And I do applaud the NCAA on some level of saying, hey, I understand this is part of the deal and we're going to make a sliding scale and this is what we're going to do, but I would just say you can't do it. Seems doable to me. So that's some of the new age that we're living in here in the NIL transfer portal and now sports gaming world as the NCAA tries to do something here. They can't enforce any basketball penalties. Maybe they can enforce sports gambling. And things are going on at Alabama that are as bad as they could be. And you're talking about some stuff going on in Iowa and Iowa State that doesn't look great. And it's just, we haven't heard the last of this. The Colts are in big trouble. Calvin Ridley's in big trouble. Like, these stories are not done popping up because things are still getting reported day over day of things that have happened in the past. But these are the rules for the NCAA, and they're set in stone. So that's something that you've got to coach your players on, teach your players on, have people come speak to them. And I'm certain that LSU will get out in front of that because they've done a really good job of kind of all of this stuff, to be honest. But that's those are the new rules here on sports gambling. D1 baseball came out with an All-American team. I wanted to kind of highlight what this looks like from an Omaha perspective and from an LSU perspective, and kind of look at what we witnessed over the last couple of weeks. And plus, LSU just got some really good news on the football front, so we'll talk about that next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
LWCC is Louisiana Loyal, elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. In June, we've been telling you about Chef Corey Barr. I love Beat Bobby Flay. I watch that show all the time. It's quick, and I like how intense it can be, and they create some cool concoctions. And Corey Barr went on Beat Bobby Flay and beat Bobby Flay. He's elevated himself to a national profile in the culinary world, but his home in Monroe, Louisiana means everything to him. He's got 3 businesses in Monroe, and he loves giving back to his home state. That makes him a champion of Louisiana. That's the kind of story that LWCC is looking for. So if you know of a person like Corey Barr, maybe a nonprofit or a business that's doing great philanthropic work and making our home state proud, LWCC wants to tell their story. If you go to lwcc.com/champions, you can nominate a champion of Louisiana and take a look at all the champions that we've highlighted over the last 13 months. LWCC is Louisiana Loyal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
At lunch, taking a few days off for the 4th of July. We'll be back on July 5th, Wednesday, from Mike Anderson Seafood, just off of Nicholson. It's Live at Lunch, live from Mike Anderson's, Wednesday, July 5th, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
If you were listening back in hour number 1, we had Shea Dixon on, part of the Bengal Tiger on 3's LSU site. We talked about Ethan Callaway, big-time offensive tackle from up in North Carolina. Well, in the last half hour, Ethan Callaway has pledged his commitment to LSU. Big-time offensive tackle, 6'7", 300 pounds. He is rated as a 4-star by On3, the number 1 player in the state of North Carolina and the 10th best offensive tackle in high school football. This guy makes a ton of sense. This is exactly the profile that Brian Kelly wants to recruit to. When Brian Kelly took the job at LSU, there was a question asked in his introductory press conference. They said, "You've had a ton of success recruiting and developing tight ends that have, offensive linemen." He's done that with tight ends too, of offensive linemen, and turning them into All-Americans and first, second, third round draft picks and Pro Bowlers. How do you do that? And Brian Kelly kind of fairly cryptically said, we've got essentially a style of player, a profile, and we recruit to that. And it's not hard to figure out when you go back and look at the guys that he signed at Notre Dame. Whether it's McGlinchey or any of these guys who have become stars on the offensive line. They are long, they are lean, and they add weight over their time in college. And that is exactly what Will Campbell and Emory Jones and Zalance Hurd are. They're all long and lean, and they're athletic. That's the type of guy he wants to pull in. We saw Tyree Adams in last year's class, who's 6'5", 280 when he signed. And you saw Mason Lunford come in the transfer portal, and he's 6'5", 305 from Maryland. And Ethan Callaway is 6'7", 300 pounds. They'll add weight as they continue their college career. I think Brian Kelly's thought is, I'm not going to recruit guys and get them into shape. I'm going to recruit athletes and bulk them up. And he has done that unbelievably successfully at Notre Dame. And LSU's tackle situation right now looks really, really strong. It's not a good spot to be in to have a freshman left tackle and a freshman right tackle. That is a nightmare in the Southeastern Conference. But LSU put those two out there last year. They said Will Campbell's going to be our guy at left tackle. That was starting from the spring. And after LSU could not block Florida State a lick in the opener, they said, we're putting Emory Jones out there at right tackle, and this is what we're going to go with. And those guys were really, really good. Did they take some lumps? They did. Were they much better than you could have expected for freshmen? Yes. Are they going to be stalwarts on this offensive line for 2 years? Yes. Did they add another elite talent right out of that mold in the class that's about to start its freshman year in Zalance Hurd? Yes. So you look at Will Campbell and Emory Jones on the tackles for the next 2 years. You look at Zalance Hurd, who could fit in at a tackle or might kick down to guard. You look at Mason Lunsford coming in as a guy who can give you some depth at tackle, and you continue to stock the shelves with guys like Ethan Callaway, who On3 Sports has as a top 10 tackle in the country and a top 75 player in the country. That's what you've got to do. The sport changes in terms of tempo and scoring and NIL and transfer portal. The sport changes, but some things stay constant. If you can't block them, you got no chance. I don't care how up tempo you run. I don't care how quick your quarterback gets the ball out. If you can't block, you've got no chance. And that's something that's incredibly important to Brian Kelly that you knew would be implemented when he got to Baton Rouge. I couldn't tell you how well he was going to recruit the state. I couldn't tell you how well he was going to do against Alabama or how often he was going to win the SEC. There are some things that we had to learn and we'll still have to learn about Brian Kelly and what his era is going to look like at LSU when it's all said and done. I am not worried about LSU fielding a strong offensive line under Brian Kelly. There is too much evidence of a system that works for that to veer off course. It's just going to work. And guys like Ethan Callaway are why. And he continues to go out and recruit nationally. This is not an elite year in state for Louisiana. Now, there are really good players, and Brian Kelly might get the top 10 in the state this year. Maybe. But it's not one of those all-time classes like 11 was, like 13 was, with just boatloads of 5 stars and elite level talent that we've known about for 3 years. It's not that. So, yeah, you want to go get the top 10 guys, and you want to continue to work the state of Louisiana, but you're going to have to go nationally. And LSU goes to the state of North Carolina and pulls in Ethan Callaway. I think that is a great, great get for LSU. On3 and their evaluation staff really, really likes him, and I have no reason to doubt him. This is the 18th commit for LSU in this class. It is ranked currently as the number 11 class in the country by On3, and there's still a couple really big fish to land in the state of Louisiana that we won't find out about here for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months. So Ethan Callaway, 6'7", 300-pound offensive tackle from Lake Norman High School in Mooresville, North Carolina, becomes the 18th commitment for Brian Kelly and LSU. We'll shift gears here, and we'll talk a little bit of baseball. D1 baseball came out with their All-American team. And because we were so invested in the College World Series and watching a lot of it and paying attention, a lot of these names that aren't LSU players are going to jump off the page at you, and you'll know. Kyle Teal is the catcher from Virginia. Nolan Shanuel had a phenomenal year at Florida Atlantic. The dude hit .444 and hit 19 home runs, so that's pretty good. You'll know the name J.J. Weatherholt at West Virginia, who was in the regional that Kentucky won to come to Baton Rouge. Brock Wilkin of Wake Forest, first team. Dylan Cruz, first team. Wyatt Langford, first team. Alberto Rios from Stanford, first team. Jack Caglione, first team. Tanner Hall from Southern Miss, first team All-American. Josh Hartle, who LSU saw in that game that they lost, was fantastic all year. He's a first-teamer. Rhett Lauder, first-teamer. Quinn Matthews, who's now in the transfer portal, by the way, first-teamer. Paul Skenes, first-teamer. 10 first-team All-Americans were in Omaha this year. 10. And 19 of the top 3. As LSU goes, Paul Skenes and Dylan Cruz, first-team All-Americans. You go down to the second team, and some very familiar names. Starts with Tommy White, who is the DH on this second-team All-American team. Tommy, 377 and 24 homers. That's the doubles number. Yeah, 24 homers, 24 doubles for Tommy, too. That's salty, 377 with 24 homers. Charlie Condon, who was phenomenal as a freshman for Georgia, is a second-team All-American. So is Josh Rivera from Florida. Nick Kurtz, who was just brutal in the College World Series, we found out maybe because of an injury, is the first baseman on the second team. Lucas Gordon, second-team All-American at Texas. I bring that up to say that Lucas Gordon has a decision to make whether or not he wants to go into the draft and pursue professional baseball or come back to Texas. He was the Big 12 Player of the Year, Pitcher of the Year this year, and LSU will play Friday night in Houston, as I laid out in the first hour, in the Astros Foundation Classic that LSU will play in Minute Maid Ballpark, and we could see Lucas Gordon in that one if he decides to come back. Seth Keener, LSU saw him from Wake Forest. He's a third-team All-American. Hagen Smith, Hurston Waldrop, Sean Sullivan, who LSU saw from Wake Forest, the left-hander. So LSU saw a lot of All-Americans this year, but that's it for LSU. It's just Skenes, Cruz, and White on the All-American teams from D1 baseball. Thought maybe Trey Morgan could sneak in, but the offensive numbers not quite eye-catching enough. Beloso was phenomenal. I would have loved to see him get a little bit of recognition, but he didn't. But I think what I'll remember about that College World Series is just how much talent was up there. And there's always a lot of talent in the College World Series, but the dudes in this draft were up there. Florida's just got dudes. LSU, dudes. Wake Forest. I mean, say what you will. They didn't hit up there. They hit 160-something. But that doesn't mean that Brock Wilken can't hit. I promise you he can. That doesn't mean that Hartle and Louder are not legit. They are. Kurtz can really play. I mean, LSU beat a phenomenal Wake Forest team. I can look back at that 2017 Oregon State team that LSU beat and look to the major leagues with Madrigal up there, with Rutschman up there, with Larnach up there. Like, that team was loaded with dudes. And that's Wake Forest going to have big leaguers from that team. So that was really special for LSU to come through and beat those guys, and it shows up on D1 Baseball's All-American team. So Tommy White gets second team, Paul Skenes gets first team, Dylan Cruz gets first team. I didn't see if they named – yeah, they did. D1 Baseball Player of the Year, which we knew from a couple of days ago, is Paul Skenes. So Skenes and teammate Dylan Cruz, the only two players to earn All-American honors each of the last 3 years. Both of them were second teamers as freshmen in 21. Both were first team last year, and they're joined by Tommy White, who moves up from the third team as a freshman last year, second team as a sophomore. Wake Forest, incidentally, had 6 All-Americans on that team. I promise you they were good. I really promise you they were good. LSU was just a little bit better when they had to be in Classic. Maybe it's because Rhett Louder didn't get his lunch. Who knows? But that is D1 Baseball's thoughts on the All-American teams. We only got one segment left to go. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. Jumbo Gulf shrimp are fantastic. The catfish is not fishy or muddy. It's clean and crispy. Even in the drive-thru, in the plastic container, you think of drive-thru food, gets soggy. It doesn't. It's fantastic over there at Cork's. They'll get you out of the drive-thru really, really quickly. Appreciate them for bringing you our Friday shows. Let's take one more time out, come back, play some Take It or Leave It, and get out of here for the weekend. Hunt Palmer Show.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
This summer, retirement is a state of mind. Whether it's a mid-morning activity or an early bird special, grab a Coors Light and chill like you're retired.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big V and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile, It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The Right Radio Hours return, reacting to the national championship. Ask Ryan, Kick Rocks, all the good stuff. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, we got one segment left to go here on a Friday, presented by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Let's play some Take It or Leave It. Jacob Beck.
All right, starting off here. Asked if he went to Omaha, Kramer Robertson said his mom invited him, but he wasn't emotionally up for it 6 years after getting beat in the finals. Take it or leave it.
I mean, I guess you got to take it because that's how Kramer feels. I saw the interview that he did. He was with the Memphis Redbirds, and they were talking to him about it. And he said, look, I've had to live with it for 6 years, going up there and getting so close. Ball didn't bounce our way, and I just wasn't ready to go see it. But he did say that he went back to Baton Rouge, watched it by himself, and it kind of exercised some demons. So if that's the way he feels about it, that's the way he feels about it. That was a great team. They got hot the Rally Possum year when he was a junior, and he and Freeman decided to come back. Dykeman decided to come back. Poche decided to come back, and all of a sudden things kind of lined up, and you got the breakout year from Eric Walker, and that team was really, really good. And they kind of lost their way early in SEC play, but they clicked it into gear. They won that Super against Mississippi State, and they did what they did against Oregon State in the championship, in the regional championship, in the bracket championship, I should say. And they got Florida with no Faedo, but they couldn't get to Lang. And so, Singer's no picnic, neither's Coar. And, LSU was compromised from a pitching perspective, and Reynolds went out there and gave him all he could for 3 innings, but it just wasn't quite enough. And that's got to be heartbreaking to have that good a team that had been together for 2 and 3 years, that was ready to make a run to a national championship, and they got all the way there and got beat. I'm glad that he feels better after LSU beat Florida this year. That makes me happy. Don't know that you'll ever totally mend those wounds, but now that LSU's kind of covered for him, beating the same team, so I'm glad he feels that way.
Rookie of the Year turns 30 this weekend. Take it or leave it.
Gotta take it. That's a classic.
I'll take it.
Oh, man, there's so many one-liners from that I use. There's one, going to the Cubs game, or going to the Cubs game, that I've said a couple times on the way to Cubs games. Henry Rowan Gardner, Brigma, the pitching coach, unbelievable. Some of the shots from around Wrigley in that movie, like, it's so different now. It's like it's got hotels and bars and restaurants. There it was truly like in the middle of a neighborhood, and that's just kind of where the Cubs played. They've commercialized it to an extent, which I have more fun with it, so I think it's great. But it's funny to go back and look at it. It's a ridiculous concept for a movie where a kid breaks his arm, has a botched repair job, and throws only fastballs and gets major leaguers out. I don't know that would hold up, but I love the movie.
J.J. Watt will join CBS this season as an in-studio analyst. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. You never really know, because you can't be the way that you are in front of a microphone as a player as you are in front of the microphone as an analyst. As an analyst, I need energy. I need criticism. I need critique of play. As a player, you sit there and you praise the other team and talk about how great they are, and you praise all your teammates and talk about how great they are. You talk about how tough the game's going to be, and you're self-deprecating a little bit probably. That's the way it goes as a player. You've got to flip a switch as an analyst who's giving me information. I don't think J.J. Watt comes across as necessarily funny. I think he does come across as smart. He was a bit of like there was an element of try-hardness in like the Hard Knock stuff where he's out there working out and look at there's J.J. Watt. He's getting the extra reps and all that. And all that's great to be a player. It's just a different thing. So I want to see some personality. I want to see some pizzazz. And then you obviously got to see some chemistry with the guys on the set. Like, I wouldn't tell you that Shaq is a great TV commentator, but Shaq paired with Ernie and Kenny and Barkley works perfectly because they know how to rib each other and they know what lane they're in, and that works. If you put Shaq on the desk at halftime with generic studio personality, it doesn't work at all. So it's all about how it all flows, and I don't know how it works with Boomer Esiason and Phil Simms, whoever is there with the whole gang, but I'm skeptical of what J.J. Watt would be. He would not be my first pick, I don't think. But I feel the same way about Tom Brady, to be clear. Like, I don't know how good I feel about Tom Brady either, and those two guys are booked for the Hall of Fame immediately. So
I don't think anyone knew how to feel about Tony Romo, but now he's pretty much regarded as one of the best. So last one, it's too hot. Take it or leave it.
Okay, we got to talk about this. Everybody's telling me it's way too hot, can't do anything. I'm leaving it. It's not too hot. It's fine.
It is.
This is where I have lived here for 35 years. Like, this is what it feels like in July and June.
It's not always 100.
Oh, yes, it is. It's always 100. It just is. It's 100 in June. It's 100 in July. It's 100 in August. Like, we wear short sleeves to Halloween. I play golf in shorts on Christmas all the time. This is where we live. Like, it just is what it is. Yeah, if you walk outside, like, you're probably going to sweat a little bit, and that's just the way it goes. I'm going to the lake this weekend, going to be fine. Just jump in the water, grab a cold drink. I have no problem playing golf. I got a golf cart. I got an ice chest. I can put a fan. That's fine. Like, it's hot in Louisiana. It's like when people are saying it's way too hot, like, especially like the national championship celebration that was at 7:30 at night. It's like, where were you last July? Where are you going to be tomorrow? Like, this is what it feels like here.
Yeah. I would agree with, especially at night too. Once it gets dark, it's not so bad. But
once the sun's gone,
once the sun's gone,
I can survive.
Yeah.
Look. Here's my deal. I'm gonna do all my weather complaining in January and February when it's freezing cold and I can't go outside. Like, that drives me nuts. And my wife is like out on walking with Myers in the evenings now. Like, she says, I'm not coming. We have a little stroller. He loves to go. I have no issue going out there at 4:45 when it's 101 and pushing him around the stroller with a bottle of water. Like, I can make it work. It's just fine. That would be like if somebody lived in Minnesota in January and was like, it's just too cold here. There's too much snow. It's like,
that's fair.
It's been your whole life. If you're from northern Wisconsin and you come down here in July and you go to the national championship celebration and you say, man, it's too hot, I want to go inside. Like, I'm with you. That's fine. You're not used to this. But if you're from here, just bring an extra shirt. You might sweat through the first one. Like, that's my 2 cents on the weather at this point. So that's take it or leave it. I'm sure everyone disagrees with me on that. But I love living here. I love it when it's 81 on Christmas. That's fine with me. I'll go play golf. If you missed any of today's show, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, YouTube, wherever you get your audio, you can find us. If you want to do us a favor, I would appreciate it. We got 2 YouTube channels that are going to have some content here rolling over the next month. Hunt on LSU, and Hunt on Saints. If you go to YouTube, type it in, subscribe. That's going to be all football content. So if you're somebody that's craving football at this point and are so sick of talking about Paul Skenes and Rhett Lauder, I got you. We're about to get into some football. So go to Hunt on LSU, subscribe, and we'll churn the football content right through there. It'll be cut down to like 10-minute, 12-minute segments that are very digestible. So I'd appreciate if you do that. All of our content heads up on YouTube every single day with our full shows. Today's show, we opened with Jay's thoughts on why he started Paul Skenes. He did not pitch Paul Skenes in Game 3 and what the plan was. I thought that was really, really good. Set the stage for the Houston College Classic that announced its schedule for next February. Also took a look around LSU's position players. Shea Dixon from On 3 was with us talking some Manning Passing Academy and LSU recruiting. Bob Ibach from Nyco Sports talking commemorative baseball, the end of hour number 1. SC Network takeover for LSU. NCAA rules on gambling and transfer portal and D1 Baseball's All-American teams all in hour number 2. Y'all have a very, very safe and happy weekend. Matt's about to drive you home on After Further Review. We'll see you Monday on the Hunt Palmer Show.